Hey everybody, I hope that you guys are having a great day today. I just wanted to hop on here real quick and say that I may change the format of how I'm going to be doing the story time videos, even though I really liked how that was shaping up. I do not want to infringe on any family's copyright issue, and both of those books are copyrighted. So I think what I might do is just talk to you about the stories. So you're going to get my voice instead of, the other voices, which I thought were great. But anyway, so the next part in the Johnny Reb Confederate spy book was when you will remember that he got across the Ohio River, and that was like where Paducah, Kentucky, and Shantytown, I think that's the name of it, meet. Anyway, thank goodness for the guy that was smoking his whatever he was smoking, and came and got him, and they got across. And he said that it took him another couple of days. He's trying to make his way down from Paducah to Bowling Green, Kentucky, just to kind of let you know as far as the distance. I will put up here like how much distance that is. I don't know if Google will have like on horseback, just gonna say. But maybe I can just say if you were gonna walk it, how long it was gonna take. Y'all can do the math, okay? But anyway, he said that he didn't have any problems the first couple of days. And when the next day or the next day and a half, I think is what he says, he came across this creek, and, he didn't think it was really that big of a deal. He knew that it was kind of swift, but he honestly thought that it was not going to be that big of a deal. He had taken his coat off during the day and tied his coat to the back of his saddle. He had a saddle bag. He had all of his dry food, money, coat, as he said. I do not know if he had a firearm in his saddlebag. Just gonna say that, okay? But anyway, he and his gray horse. He talks about his gray horse. I don't think he ever says the name of his gray horse. Just gonna say. But anyway, they jump into the water, and immediately he realizes that they are in trouble. It was like I want to say a flash flood, creek. He calls it a creek. But anyways, it's fast. Anyway, they get about 2/3 of the way down, and they're kind of like an undertow, is going sideways, right? And all of a sudden, as we all know, when you see debris, a big log comes and hits the horse in the shoulder and knocks Ward off of his horse. And he talks about that he goes underneath the water about 4 feet, and when he comes up, he cannot find his horse. He cannot find anything. He lost his hat. He lost almost everything. So he's getting out of the water. He's like trying to shake off. He's trying to find his horse. He's running up and down the bank. On the other side, he did make it to the other side, by the way, and he's looking, and he never finds his horse. He never finds the saddlebags. He never finds his hat. Anyway, so he was very discouraged at this point, as you can imagine, and so he calls his shirt, I'll have to put the name of it up here. He calls it something different. And I know that the way that they talked back then is a little bit different than the way that we talk now, But anyway, he called it some, like, I don't want to say short sleeve, but that's not really the right word. Okay, just I'm gonna put it up here so you can see what I'm saying. Anyway, he starts walking in the direction for home, and he said that he comes upon this house. It's like a 1-room cabin, log cabin. And he said that at first he sees all these faces, like the doors open, and I guess there was a window maybe. I don't know if that's really, but he said all these faces were peeking out at him. And I guess he looked funny because he was like soaking wet still. So I guess it wasn't too far from where this creek is, where this house was. I mean, I would have probably heard all the disturbance, you know. I would think that he would have been hollering for his horse. I mean, that's just me. I don't know. Anyway, there was a kind of an older lady. I don't know how many kids. I don't even know how many people are in this cabin situation, okay? But Ward pretty immediately takes in that that this is not a good situation. And the woman, he says that she talks primitive. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if maybe English was not her first language. You know, because that did happen. There was a lot of people that had settled in Kentucky at before. I don't know their history. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. Anyway, she asked him, like, what happened to you? And so he proceeds to tell her that that he had his horse. They went across the creek down the ways, and he lost his horse and he lost all his stuff. And she was like, oh, that's just too bad. And anyway, she invited him in to come in and sit by the fire and kind of like warm up. I guess it was cold. I'm thinking it was probably maybe March. No, wait. No, that it had to happen in April is when this happened. So, it's, in Kentucky in April, it's still cool, so just gonna say. Anyway, so they go in and to sit by the fire. I don't even know. Well, anyway, he talks about this. He does this like inventory, which I thought was really interesting because I don't, it may kind of dawn on me, but to me, I feel like it's kind of nosy a little bit, but I think that's the impression that I got when I first read it. Like, gosh, that's kind of nosy. But what happened was that afterwards, it had made such an impression on him of the destitute that this family was in, and that he took it to heart. And let me just explain. Let me see if I can read it, or maybe not read it because I don't want to get in trouble. So he got there like around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, just to kind of give you like a timestamp, because he does mention the time. And most of the time, I don't know. I'm just going to say this. I don't know this for a fact. But maybe back then, they were a little bit more hospitable. And I've seen people coming down the road. Hey, come on in. Do you want something to drink, kind of deal? And then when he told the story, he kind of makes a comment that even though it was 1 o'clock, she probably would understand that he doesn't have any food and no dinner. But he quickly kind of takes a survey, which is kind of, I thought was a little weird. I'm just going to say, because, it just kind of leans into the whole nosiness, but there's a reason that this is interesting. So let me just say that, so after he's kind of looking around, he kind of understands why she didn't invite him to dinner or to stay or whatever. because they didn't really have anything. And he makes a comment that, that she had a small skillet, a lid with 2 or 3 crackers in it, which is pretty much it. She had a few plates that had like those blue flowers, the type. And then there was 2 knives, and then there was 4 forks, but some of the forks were missing the prongs, okay? And only a few cans. I don't know what the cans contained, but I mean, basically that was really it for food. And so anyway, he said, it has been written in my memory ever since. I asked the woman where her husband was, and she said that he had gone off to the army. I don't know which side army, because in Kentucky it was split. So, he did not explore which side, because, he may get in trouble himself by, asking that question. So he just kind of left that alone. But here's what I wanted to mention. She said that they were in really rough shape right now, and that they didn't have any food. They don't have any place to get food. I don't know if they didn't have, surely they would have had a firearm to go hunting. But didn't say anything about that. She was just talking about how rough it was, and that her husband had sent word like the day before that he was told he was going to get $16 a month for being in the army. And that as soon as he got paid, and they called it paid off. Is that what they said? Yeah, paid off. That he was going to send some of that money home. So she thought that once they got some of that money, that she would be fine. But he said that because she used the word plenty a lot in the way that she was describing this, and he said, if I had been ever so hungry, that word plenty would have consumed it. The idea of part of $16 a month furnishing such a family with plenty indicated that they were in a habit of doing with very little. And I would have to be very hungry to eat a part of that from the little ragged children I saw there. So, I just kind of felt bad, after I read that, because before I thought he was just kind of being a little nosy, taking a survey of their surroundings and their house. But anyway, so he says, hey, that's great, or I don't know what he says. Anyway, and then he leaves, okay? And he starts down the road a piece, and he finds another house. Now, I will just say that this time was kind of, I don't know, like scary. You think about, he was 18 years old when this happened, or when it started, and he's walking down the road with nothing. Zero, and possibly enemy territory. Let's just keep that in perspective for a moment, okay? So he gets to the second house. He doesn't really talk about necessarily the people other than the man of the house, okay? And so he again asks, what happened to you? Because I guess, back then it was traditional to always wear a hat. And if you didn't have a hat on, there was something wrong with you. That's the feeling I'm getting. And so anyway, the man asked him what happened. He tells him, and they start talking and whatnot. He actually invites him to spend the night. I guess it was granted, maybe later in the afternoon when he doesn't tell us what time it is, okay? But anyway, he invites him to spend the night. And in that course of the evening, he learns that this family leans into the Union, and Ward was a Confederate. His family were for the South. So he did not. He said that he felt kind of like a hypocrite because basically he did not say anything. He just kind of kept that piece of his history, or his, kept it inside. He did not explain any of that. So I thought that was interesting because, I'm sure he was scared, that, they might turn him in, and, I don't know if there was a reward for his arrest at this point, or what. I mean, he was probably small potatoes at this point, just gonna say. I forgot to mention that this guy, this is what's so funny about this particular piece. This guy gives him a hat, not one of these hats, like a cowboy hat, but it was like 2 sizes too small, okay, for his head. I don't know if he had a big head or what, but anyway, the kids all were laughing at him because he was trying to just jam that hat on his head. And they all knew it was too small. I mean, it was, I guess, pretty apparent that it was too small, right? And anyway, he puts it on his head, and the kids just rolled. They thought that was the funniest thing. And then all of a sudden they said, "Oh, it just fits." It's for like a casual, everyday kind of outfit. So you'd have the hat, and you'd have your shirt, right? And then you'd have a coat on top, or the guys. I'm talking about the guys, and trousers and boots. I think he had the shirt. Talks about shirt and pants and boots. I don't think he was barefooted. He doesn't talk about that. But anyway, the Union family gave him the hat, but they didn't have an extra coat. Just wanted to clarify that point. And finally, about this family, I wanted to just tell you this. This is kind of funny. He said that, when he thinks about this particular hat, he said that he always felt like he had stolen that hat, and that he kind of pretty much had to conceal his true identity. And then they gave him this hat that he thought he really couldn't keep the hat because he just felt like a hypocrite. So anyway, I just wanted to say that side note because I thought that was kind of funny. So he's continuing to make his way from Paducah down to Bowling Green. He does not indicate like what road he's necessarily on, or like how many miles he thinks. He doesn't say any of that. But he kind of talks about like the day. So he got up with that Union family in the morning. I don't know what time. I'm going to say early. And he starts walking. And by nightfall, he comes upon this farm. And I'm guessing that it's kind of more southern in the region because it was definitely a Confederate family. He said that by nightfall, so who knows how many hours this is, okay? So that he was on the edge of Tennessee, and he was in pretty good country, and had found a farmhouse. And at the farmhouse seemed to be kind of more well off, and there were he saw slaves in the field. So he walks up to the farmhouse, and as he was getting to the door, a middle-aged man opens the door, and again, talks to him, and Ward tells him what has happened, and he felt like he was a little more free to explain the true magnitude of his situation. So he pretty much tells the whole story, not an abbreviated story like he did, like maybe the first two houses that he stopped at, just because he was afraid to reveal too much. And he stayed the night there too. And they did give him a coat. And the man, the middle-aged man, gave him $5. And so what was really interesting is that Ward, I guess he found a town. I don't really know. He went into town after leaving the farmhouse, and he took that hat, tossed that hat, bought a new hat, and he also bought a train ticket to Bowling Green. So I just wanted to say, even though he didn't really necessarily go into great detail about that last piece of it, he did make his way down to Bowling Green, Kentucky at that point in chapter 1.